For professional advice with a personal touch, consult Fuller Landau, Chartered Accountants and Business Advisors. Click on flmontreal.com.
.707 on CJAD. Welcome to today's Entrepreneur, presented by Fuller Landau, a program about the entrepreneurial spirit that drives Quebec business. Dan Delmar, along with Fuller Landau's Josh Miller. How's it going, Josh?
Excellent. The last day of tax season, so feeling good, Dan.
It's true, and we're taking a bit of a break from the election madness, the Bin Laden madness, and we're going to talk about health and wellness in this hour. And we have a very interesting guest this evening.
Tonight we have Mitch Katzetlin, who's going to talk to us about how he helps employees of entrepreneurs that we've been interviewing throughout the year, how he helps the employees become a little more efficient, kind of get in tune with himself a little from a health and mental standpoint, and how he's made his own business about it. So welcome, Mitch, tonight.
Thank you very much. Glad to be here.
And tell us a little bit about what Wellness for Work is today, and then take us back to where you started in this whole venture.
Well, right now, wellness as an industry is absolutely exploding. We have to really take credence to this, and we need to really understand that wellness right now is essential in human resources, in corporations. The employees really must be well in order to be productive. So the immediate results we see when we bring programming such as yoga sessions or lunch and learn sessions, just the education alone that we bring to these employees benefit them greatly. We could see immediate results at work in terms of presenteeism, in terms of stress reduction, in terms of the bottom line of the company. That we could see a little bit later on, but we need to address it in real terms, in terms of what their health plans cover. So right now we're focusing on actually reducing the company's healthcare costs.
Now you say presenteeism. That's not absenteeism. Is that the opposite? Like, what is presenteeism?
It's not the opposite. It's actually, it's more tragic, because not only are you at work, as opposed to not being at work, when you're at work, you're not really quite all there. Meaning, what are your productive hours during the day? Is it from 10 to 2? When you get there, how much time do you take to settle in, check the emails? Are they all personal emails? Are they business emails? The coffee, the smoking breaks are huge. We now have to address, and it is out there, the statistics reveal that, and studies have shown, a smoking employee costs the company an extra $3,000 per year.
Amazing. Now I understand the impacts today, and I really want to hear more, but tell us, how did you get into this business? Did it start really with the Wellness for Work? Or what exactly did it start with, and when?
Well, wellness for me is a very big part of my life. I live it, I breathe it, and I preach it. As religious as that sounds, it's actually true. It's an essence of your being, and it came from a very real place. It came from a place of needing it in order to feel good about myself. It came from a place of professional what I did on a daily basis. I was the senior manager at a fitness club in the aquatics department for many, many years. And so I've been selling the concept, I've been living the concept, and I've been preaching the concept for many years. That eventually evolved into personal training. It evolved into teaching spinning. It evolved into teaching CPR and health and safety courses. I had a show on CJD. Could I give?
Of course.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. Dave Fisher. I'm going to give Dave Fisher a plug. We had a show based on backyard pool safety and CPR classes. Very important. It's been a part of what I do forever, and so this idea came around when I was actually doing some personal training sessions at Reitman's in front of their head office, just standing outside of Reitman's head office on Sauve. several employees approached me asking me if this was corporate sponsored. And at that time, this was about 3 or 4 years ago, it was almost unheard of. 3 years later, companies like Reitmans and Insight and Ericsson have full-time wellness managers as part of their human resources departments.
Was it hard at first to sell many companies on investing in the health of their employees?
Impossible. It was absolutely impossible. It's not their first line of business.
You know, when people were asking me about this week's show, Dan, and they heard, you know, the ad on the radio and Wellness for Work, I got that's a lot of fluff. Mm-hmm. How do you get companies? I mean, does it really work? How do you get the business owners to maybe not buy into it, but how do you get them to realize that, hey, it's actually worth something? So I can only imagine, Mitch, what struggles you went through with that.
Not only that, but when the human resources looks at these kind of programming and offering it to their employees, they almost feel like the employees are being paid and sponsored not to do work, which is conceptually counterproductive to the essence of the company. Is it detracting from the profit? Are they not doing what they are hired to do? Answer is absolutely not. It actually makes them more productive. It actually makes them feel, and we evaluate it in a team building scenario, it makes them feel not only do they get enriched, but they feel a return on their investment and what they do every day, being paid whatever they feel is undervalued, and that'll always be the case.
So is it measurable?
It's absolutely measurable. It's measurable in absenteeism. It's measurable in stress. It's measurable by the return on investment. The ROI is absolutely affected. There's a 1-year effect. We can look at a 3-year effect. And this is revealing, absolutely revealing. And the statistics now say, and Health Canada has produced some, that reveal anywhere from a 3 to a 10-to-1 return on investment. Now, as an accountant, Josh, you understand, investments do not reveal do not give that anymore. We're not in the 80s anymore. We're looking at 13% return. It just doesn't happen. 10-to-1 return on investment is absolutely substantial, and that is only realized with the chronic giving of wellness programming. So, you know, when I approached one specific company, their answer to me was, we already have wellness programming. It's called the Employee Assistance Plan. It's part of their healthcare plan. Their insurance provider provides this program for them, and it's underutilized.
Today's Entrepreneur continues on a CJAD with our guest, Mitch Katz-Zeitlin of Wellness for Work. He's a wellness professional. If you want to join the conversation, 514-790-0991 or Star Talk, star 8255 on Bell Mobility, 715 on CJAD.
For professional advice with a personal touch, consult Fuller Landau, Chartered Accountants and Business Advisors. Click on flmontreal.com.
718 on CJAD. Welcome back to today's Entrepreneur. Inspiring stories from outstanding business people. Dan Delmar, along with Fuller Landau's Josh Miller, and our guest, Mitch Katz-Zeitlin of Wellness for Work. He's a wellness professional. And if you want to ask any questions to Mitch about his business, his line of work, and how he helps employees lead more healthy, active lives, 514-790-0991 and Star Talk, star 8255 on Bell Mobility.
Now, Mitch, you're really telling us about the product and the service that you're offering, but let's take a few steps back and say you were working as an employee. Where did you make that leap, call it leap of faith, into starting your own business with this?
Well, it wasn't an easy leap of faith. You're gainfully employed or somewhat gainfully employed, and that's given up, and hopefully you have the wherewithal and the support of your family and in pocket change to spare that you can build a company. It doesn't happen in a year. It doesn't happen in 2 years. It doesn't even happen in 3 years. There's got to be some sort of a support network in place. Otherwise, it just can't work, because the initial sell and the marketing, and although marketing is made much easier now online, in terms of expenses, it becomes all-consuming and very, very, very time intensive.
Did you start this on your own, or were you with a partner?
No, this was on my own.
At what point, I mean, have you always been on your own? Do you take on a partnership? I mean, to kind of ease some of the I'll say planning, stress,
Absolutely.
as whatever you call it, it might always be better to work with somebody else.
Yeah, partners can be volatile. They could work really well. Partnerships that work well because there's a good balance between you two. What I like to do isn't necessarily what he likes to do, and what I'm good at isn't what he's good at, and we have to be a complement to each other.
Do you recognize that with him?
Absolutely.
What happens when you disagree?
We are like a married couple. We fight and we swear at each other, and a good married couple. And we have very good communication skills. When it's a partnership that doesn't work and you don't really hear each other speaking, and the partnership will dissolve, and has very, very quickly.
And what about strategic alliances? Have you ever developed those in the years to try and further the business, further the sales?
Well, strategic alliances are, as they call them, strategic, and they're essential as alliances. As far as alliances go that aren't partnerships, there's no other way to make a business work. It's networking. The alliances, for me right now, the strong ones are insurance brokers, which help me into their clients. It's in their best interest to approach their client, offering them wellness services in the way of the eventual goal is to reduce their costs, their health costs. So bring down the claims, bring down the premiums. And for a broker, these are magic words. It's a reason for them to approach their client for a positive impact instead of, well, your premiums are going up by 40%, which isn't uncommon. Or the client then, after that happens for a few years, will switch providers and go with a new broker and start low, and then kind of save money in the long run.
We're talking with an entrepreneur that has a really tough job to do, because selling these soft type of services, bringing this product and service to the market, is not easy. And for an entrepreneur to have that drive to do that is absolutely amazing. And when we come back, marketing has got to be an absolute key. I'm really curious to know how Mitch gets his marketing, his Wellness for Work programs out there.
Especially with something that's I would say an emerging field, right? I mean, we'll talk about how the challenges there too. 514-790-0991. Today's entrepreneur with our guest Mitch Katz-Zeitlin of Wellness for Work, and don't forget CJAD's election coverage begins at 8 p.m. More with Mitch in just a moment.
For professional advice with a personal touch, consult Fuller Landau, Chartered Accountants and Business Advisors. Click on flmontreal.com.
Coming up to 7:26 on today's entrepreneur, our guest, Mitch Katz-Zeitlin of Wellness for Work. And Mitch, you're a wellness professional. Is it difficult to really get your name out there, certainly to promote this business, given that it is, I would say, an emerging field, an emerging industry?
Well, it's all about the upsell. So we get into the company, however, through human resources, through the insurance broker. Once we're in there, if we're giving a wellness fair like we did at Pharmascience last week, it's a platform. It's a starting point. It's discussing the services. It's surveying the employees. It's figuring out what the corporate culture is and how to bridge the gap between corporate culture and what the employees want to see as far as continuous programming.
Is this something that you've kind of learned through schooling? Is it some experiences along the way? Like, where do you pick up this, the marketing style?
The upselling skill is something that's definitely been developed, but has come pretty naturally. For the CPR and first aid business, it's become an all-inclusive, backyard pool safety and infant and child courses, and it becomes an essential service when you're dealing with healthcare professionals, but it becomes a desired service, and a service that is an admirable leap to take, seeing that only 5% of the population that we live in this province is certified in CPR and first aid. That becomes injury prevention. That becomes baby proofing. That becomes products and AED sales, automatic external defibrillator sales, which are now huge in schools and office buildings.
So this is just not Wellness for Work. You started, or you were doing things either right now at the same time, or you started out something before Wellness for Work?
Absolutely. So CPR and First Aid has been a business for me with the partner since 1997, but the business has existed since 1992. It's a natural progression. I think that once the programming is being given, the clients you have formed a relationship. Business is all about the relationships, and once that relationship is formed, there's a confidence there. They know exactly who to go to because they've associated with you in a positive way. They've received good programming and services, and the upsell becomes the natural step, the next step.
And I mean, we're talking about relationships. How do you continue those relationships? How do you stay in the client's face?
You keep them served well. You keep them happy. It's all about making the client happy in terms of their confidence in you, in terms of your integrity, in terms of you deliver the service that you promised to deliver. It's all about setting the expectations, setting them to exceed them, so set their mindset and then do better.
Relationships is certainly key, Dan, as we've seen over and over again. Great to offer a fantastic product, great to offer a unique service, but relationships are what's going to keep the people coming back. As people move to the Far East to get their goods or whatever, it's the service, it's the relationships, and the people's trust factor that if you're able to develop, certainly, absolutely use it with whatever product or service you can develop along the way. Trust is key when absolutely operating your business. Entrepreneurs are aware of this, and we hear it clearly with Mitch.
You nailed it. You nailed it, Josh. We can see in the pool business that once you have a relationship, and it's a long-term relationship, and you're supplying the human resources aspect to a property management company, you're supplying lifeguards for their outdoor pools, and once you have that relationship with the client, they will sooner go to you than a competitor for supplemental services.
And we have to go to news right now. Mitch, we'll have more with Mitch Katz-Zeitlin of Wellness for Work in a second. It's 7:30 right now on CJAD.
For professional advice with a personal touch, consult Fuller Landau, Chartered Accountants and Business Advisors. Click on flmontreal.com.
7:32 on CJAD. Welcome back to Today's Entrepreneur, presented by Fuller Landau, a program about the entrepreneurial spirit that drives Quebec business. Dan Delmar, along with Josh Miller of Fuller Landau, and our guest this evening from Wellness for Work, Mitch Katz-Zeitlin. He's a wellness professional, but Mitch, that's not all you do. You're involved in, you have been involved in a few different projects. How do you balance everything together, and how do you manage to focus on all your different projects?
It's not easy. That's the very short and sweet answer, but it's a juggling act all the time. Every day is a mountain to climb, and juggling act, where am I going to focus? I have some seasonal businesses, so that makes it a little easier when CPR is slow. Professional lifeguard placement service and pool services are up. Wellness for Work is something that carries me through the winter and spring and fall seasons. So that makes it easier, but having entrepreneurial ADD, my mind is in a million different places at any given moment. So the next idea is coming at full speed, and it's being entertained, and then I forget the last thing that I was trying to focus on.
Now, how much, do you rely on your partners to keep you focused? Do you have to every now and then take a step back? How do you kind of control this entrepreneurial ADD, as you put it?
The objectives have to be in place. You have to know where it's going to go, how it's going to get there, and just like setting out a budget, it's something that has to be tracked. And the entrepreneur is not always that good at doing it. I say it because I know it should be done, but I'm not really good at doing it. When it comes to the analysis, where has it been and where is it going and how am I getting there and what is the picture at any given moment, that is something that I think most entrepreneurs struggle with because they're constantly selling.
Now, you talk about analysis of a business, and which is certainly key for any entrepreneur. You have to do it. You got to stay on track. At what point, did you learn this, and how do you apply it, or what things do you look for to keep that focus?
To keep that focus is a task in and of itself. And you need help. You can't do it alone. Your focus is, being an entrepreneur, your focus is on the ideas and the generating and the formulating them, but making them work, bringing them to action. There's one kind of entrepreneur. You can be an entrepreneur and you can be a small business owner. There's a very distinct difference. The entrepreneur has the insight in mind. The small business just goes day by day. The entrepreneur has the vision and the wherewithal on how to get there, and the ideas keep generating, and the upsells and the different services and the different products to keep the customers and the clients interested in coming back to you. Small business owners have what they have, and they do well with what they have, and they could sustain that, and it's very, very focused and single-minded.
Do you surround yourself? I mean, do you have peers or mentors that you kind of bounce ideas off of, so that you're not alone or just with your partner and trying to maintain this focus and drive and vision?
That's absolutely a key to business success, and I am presently involved in several networking groups, primarily BNI, Business Network International, and I'm a very active member. I attend one specific chapter in Pointe Claire called De Réseau, and as well I visit other chapters and I meet with members of other groups, and we bounce ideas off each other. We form power teams, and the power teams are really people that bounce well off each other. So recently I met with a connection through a window protection company called Access Protection, and that developed into me sitting down with Paramount Pools. Paramount Pools, for me, is like a marketing company sitting down with Coke. Paramount Pools, for me, has become, well, they're building pools. They will look better when they can then go to their customers and say, well, here's a follow-up service. Do you know how to manage your pool? Do you need access to safety courses, backyard pool safety, pool chemistry? There are so many opportunities.
So where do you draw the line between administration of your business and selling or marketing of your business? I mean, you can't, I guess, as an entrepreneur, you always want to sell, you're always looking at the top line, but you got to look at the bottom line too. And how do you make sure that whatever revenues come in, enough of it falls to the bottom line?
That's again, that's something that it takes some focus, and the ideas keep coming. The ideas need to translate into something. I think that's primarily where my thoughts go 90% of the time, until I have to sit down very late at night where my mind isn't moving a million miles an hour, and take a step back and start looking at where it's come, where it's going, and am I taking the right path?
So with this entrepreneurial ADD that you referred to, have you made any sacrifices along the way? Like what's suffered a little bit?
My mental state, I think.
Ironically.
As we do for Wellness for Work, maybe he needs a little meditation or yoga class.
Well, that's just it. That keeps me sane. I mean, as an employee and an employer, the employee has the same issues. I mean, you have your stress and you have your focuses, and when your boss says, "Well, where's the budget? Where's your rectification? Where's your plan?" And their answer is, "Well, look what I've done. Why do I have to look at what I have done when look at where I'm going?" But employers will demand it. But as an entrepreneur, you don't have that knocking at your office door every single day. You only have yourself to answer to. But that also becomes, I have to be devoted 24/7. My every thought is about one business or the other 24/7, because the less I put in, the less I take out.
And I presume when the bills hit the table and you got to pay them, well, then you focus even more.
You do or you die.
You do or you die. Now, we're talking about an emerging business, as Dan put it earlier. What about competition? Do you have competition to face? How do you deal with it? How do you stay on top of it? Or do you feel you're really ahead of the game?
The competition makes things interesting, because if you're confident about your service, it does not intimidate. Your clients will be confident about your service. And that's everything right there. Once your clients are confident about your service, they will not look to the competition, even if they're paying more for your service.
Is there competition in your business today?
Absolutely, and all of them. Wellness is huge now, and these services are out there. Independent health providers approach the company, whether they're a yoga practitioner, a massage therapist, or a nutritionist. They approach the company on an individual basis. Well, what I have on top of what they're offering, I'm offering the same thing, but I'm offering a conglomerate of services where the employee could change it up. The employee could lose interest in any given service, and then it's gone nowhere. So then you could change it up like a personal training program. A personal trainer, if it's a good personal trainer, will change up your program every 3 months to keep it interesting, to keep you motivated, to keep you getting better, to keep.
For professional advice with a personal touch, consult Fuller Landau, Chartered Accountants and Business Advisors. Click on flmontreal.com.
Today's Entrepreneur continues, a program about the entrepreneurial spirit that drives Quebec business. Dan Delmar, along with Fuller Landau's Josh Miller. Our guests, Mitch Katz-Zeitlin of Wellness for Work. He's a wellness professional. And we also bring in Micheline Mayette into the conversation, HR consultant with Fuller Landau. And we touched on the issue of smoking and how that not only it affects workers' health, but it also affects company time, right? How do you manage smokers versus non-smokers? And there's a bit of that jealousy factor sometimes in the workplace too.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, employees will definitely get jealous or feel that they're being mistreated if they see their colleagues go out for 2 or 3 smoke breaks a day, and they get looked at funny if they try to go for a coffee break. So I think it's on the side of the employers really to look and make sure that they're treating their employees equitably and to be reasonable. If somebody wants to get up because they want to stretch or go for a coffee just to relax, for 15 minutes, it's really hard to say no when their colleagues are going outside to smoke cigarettes for 15 minutes.
I've had people in the restaurant industry tell me they've taken up smoking just so they can get a break.
Yeah, I've heard that too, which is terrible, obviously.
So how much do companies employee policy manuals, I mean, how specific do they have to be? And is this something that you would include in these wellness programs or these issues of inequity between employees?
Well, for breaks, it's really a company can decide whether they want to give breaks, obviously besides like a lunch break and that type of thing. Some companies don't really have a formal policy on breaks. It depends on the type of company you have. If it's more office employees, often it's a bit more informal. They can take a break when they want. But it's more a question of the manager and how they deal with it. So it's kind of acceptable that your smokers need to go outside to smoke, but it's not acceptable that other employees can go lounge downstairs for 15 minutes unless they're smoking. So I think it's to turn that around a little bit and understand that maybe some people, also need to take a breath of fresh air outside instead of going outside for a cigarette.
And we're talking about efficiency and productivity. So some of these wellness for work programs, I mean, they have to have an effect. Do you see, do employers realize this, what you've seen along the way?
Some do, some don't. I'm sure Mitch has seen that as well. But I really think, there's factual proof that having this type of program helps. So I think it's really hard, to say that it doesn't help because, there's facts and statistics behind it that you can show if you want to put in place a health and wellness program in your company. And it's not something that necessarily is very expensive. So while we see generally very large companies putting in place this type of program, it is something that really any company can do.
I think, and the entrepreneur really has to just keep the open mind. You're dealing with employees, dealing with productivity and training. Retraining somebody that doesn't stay is really expensive. So to keep those employees there and for a long time is in the entrepreneur's best spirit.
Coming up on today's Entrepreneur, more with Mitch Katz-Zeitlin of Wellness for Work and HR consultant Micheline Mayette. 7 minutes ahead of CJAD's election special. It's 7:53 right now.
For professional advice with a personal touch, consult Fuller Landau, Chartered Accountants and Business Advisors. Click on flmontreal.com.
7:56 on CJAD. Today's entrepreneur. Our guests, Mitch Katz-Zeitlin of Wellness for Work and HR consultant Micheline Mayette of Fuller Landau. And Micheline, we're talking about Mitch's wellness services. How is it difficult to apply these kinds of things across different companies, especially different sized companies?
Yeah, I mean, in smaller companies, if you don't have a budget necessarily to bring in people, which I think is great when you bring in people from the outside, obviously they're professionals and they know what they're talking about. If you have a more restrained budget, I mean, there's things that you can do that are really inexpensive. You can start walking groups at lunch. Most companies have a few employees that are really gung-ho when it comes to health, and they might have an activity that they're willing to lead even on a voluntary basis after work and that type of thing. So, I mean, you should go, look at the employees that are really into it, and often they'd be more than happy to offer their services to get other employees involved as well. There's also charitable activities that can involve bike riding, dragon boating, for example, that the company could participate in, which doesn't cost anything to the company. And yes, the employees generally have to raise money, but it's also a great team building activity too.
Would you get the employees involved? I mean, maybe it's a question of, if you can't come up with the right ideas, well, maybe hold kind of a mini forum and ask your team what they might want to get involved with.
100%. If you want to put in place a formal health and wellness program, the best thing is to kind of put in place a committee. So get employees from different departments who know what's going on, instead of having just a couple of people doing it. Make sure you get upper management involved too, because that'll usually get more buy-in from the staff. And I always find a survey is a great thing, because you have to know what it is that people want. What do your employees want? You might say, okay, well, we'll do a Weight Watchers group, but maybe that's not an issue that people are having. So if you actually do a survey, you can find out what's going to interest the greatest number of people and have the greatest benefit to all.
Great. Micheline, thank you so much. I know really at the end of the day, entrepreneurs keep their eyes open, keep their minds open, and there's a lot they can do to benefit their people, their team, and really improve productivity. As we approach the end of the show, Mitch, is there a piece of advice that you would offer to today's entrepreneur as they set out in business?
Yeah, don't do it. No, seriously though, it's following your passion. It's being dogged about what you believe in and not giving up. I mean, being an entrepreneur is like a wise man once said, it's like climbing a mountain every single day. It's always an uphill battle. It's always a struggle, and it's difficult financially sometimes. Your ups and downs. So if it's not your passion, it's not going to work.
Thanks, Mitch. Dan, there's two takeaways I take from this week. One is, it's about focus. Entrepreneurs have a tendency to go after what's in their mind, what's in their vision along the way, and they don't always tend to focus. Have that focus, have the people bounce off ideas, and really do one thing, do it right, and move on. And the other thing I would attach to is relationships. Relationships for any entrepreneur with their customers, with their suppliers, whomever it may be, that's what will help make the sale. That's what will help make the bottom line. There's a trust factor that's there, and that's what has to continue.
Thank you very much, Josh, and thank you to our guest, Micheline Mayette of Fuller Landau and Mitch Katz-Zeitlin of Wellness for Work. And Josh, we're taking a bit of a hiatus as the weather gets better outside.
Well, actually, Dan, we're on for another couple of weeks before we
great.
take on for the summer. We're up for a good couple of weeks shows, and then we'll break.
Perfect. So we'll see you next Monday night.
You got it.
At 7 p.m. The polls close in 90 minutes. CJAD's election special begins in just seconds. Don't forget you can reach Fuller Landau during business hours at 514-875-2865 or visit www.flmontreal.com. Have a good night.